Just a few quick words on fear-based beliefs. Now, this may depend on the context of your life, especially the religious context of your life. What, say, organized religious tradition you were born into or have been a part of. For me, it's been Roman Catholic, but this can come up in pretty much any Christian tradition. I'm not so sure how Islam handles the idea of the devil and hell. I know they have those concepts. I'm not sure how deep they go. And obviously, the Jewish tradition has it, but I noticed that from my Jewish friends, they don't dwell on it. Okay, and that's the first thing I want to say, because this message is primarily directed towards Christians or former Christians. The idea of the devil and hell. There's people out there who have they truly believe in the devil. So the idea of the devil and hell, demons, a whole hierarchy, right? Just like in heaven, they think of God, and then you've got all these angels, and these angels are divided into hierarchies. Do you see the pattern here? This is from medieval society. You know, this stuff, some of this stuff was mentioned in the Bible in passing, but the whole detail of it and the depth of it was really created in the twisted minds of savage medieval people, right? The same people who used to torture people and, all these terrible tortures, it just, that's where it comes from. It doesn't really, Jesus didn't speak constantly. And a lot of the Bible was symbolic anyway. A lot of those writings are symbolic. They're not literal. They're not meant to be taken literally, and people take them literally. So what I'm trying to say is the fear-based beliefs, especially in the Christian tradition, comes from this whole idea of hell. And that's how they keep people in line. That came from, medieval Catholic Church. Keep people in line. Keep those people coming to church and paying their tithes and whatever. And, how do you do that? The best motivator is fear. Okay. Now, in those days, the church really was so powerful. It could control kings, and it could, the Inquisition, it could even torture and kill people they thought were heretics, much the way some certain religions today are still operating in that 14th century and earlier mindset where you can order someone to be killed if they leave the religion, for example, right? So one good motivator of that is to basically say, you're going to burn in this lake of fire. You're not going to be saved. You're going there. And it's today, a lot of people subscribe to that. They're and you see a lot of this, I must say, in social media, on these posts, these comment sections for things of this nature. You see this idea of, if I'm wrong, this is from the perspective of the person who buys into that. If I'm wrong and none of that exists, no harm done, right? In other words, for you people who are criticizing my hellish religious beliefs, if I'm wrong, no big deal. It's just not there. But if I'm right, you're all going there. So you should really believe me and come over to this side of the belief system just to be safe. That's fear-based belief. Just to be safe, to take the safe way out. Subscribe to all this middle-aged malarkey, which is false. It's not real. It's imaginary. But just in case, basically it absolves you of any responsibility for your own creation, for your own behavior, whatever, to just follow, to be spoon-fed a belief system. And honestly, we're really manifesting this stuff. I mean, think about it from the enlightened perspective. There's nobody out there doing this to you or even to these people. They're doing it to themselves. They're creating people in their lives, the church, the pastor, whatever, to reflect this stuff back and to limit their true selves, their true identity. And then they buy into this fear-based stuff. It's really, it's a really weird dynamic. So I just wanted to say that, to express that, to get that out there. Because even, Neville Goddard spoke about in one of his talks, I think you can go through my video list and see the one, Feel After Him, or one of those, The Secret of the Ages, whatever. He speaks about that at the end, where there was this family they were like friends of the family, and this, Neville Goddard was brought up Protestant, a Christian Protestant. He was a British subject in Barbados before he became a naturalized American citizen. So he was brought up probably in the Anglican or some similar tradition. And so he wasn't Catholic, but these other people, the friends of the family, were Catholic. And he asked his wife, we're going over there, what will they say if they know what I teach? Will they shun me? And she's like, no, don't worry about it. As far as how they were brought up, you couldn't be saved because you're a Protestant. You don't believe what they believe. You weren't born in their tradition. Because honestly, the Catholic tradition, it's really weird. Within Christian traditions, the Catholics don't believe people outside of the Catholic tradition are truly saved. And a lot of people in the Protestant tradition think that somehow Catholics are all going to hell. I mean, it's really twisted. It's so twisted from both sides, how deep this fear-based stuff goes. So, and Neville speaks about this stuff. He speaks of how the real idols are, they take a piece of wood and carve, say, Jesus on a crucifix out of it, and they hang it on a wall, and then they cross themselves for good luck. That's a form of idolatry, right? But a lot of religious people wouldn't put it that way. They wouldn't think that, I mean, whether it's a cross or a crucifix, or whether it's a human representation or just a plain cross, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. So, Protestants talking about Catholics with the statues being idols. Well, your plain old cross is just as much an idol. This is a little insert I'm splicing into my my talk. Something that actually inspired me to do this particular to speak on the subject of fear-based beliefs, but I actually forgot to mention it, so I'm sticking it in somewhere in this talk where there's some silence. I don't need to identify it as being separate. I could have just made it more natural, but I decided, hey, technology lets you do that. You may as well just come forth and say, hey, I'm sticking this in here because I forgot to mention it during the original recording. And that is that I was looking for Neville Goddard material online, and I came across some Catholic-based website where someone, he wrote down, he wrote a little article or something, or a little blurb, or like a blog post, whatever, on Neville Goddard, and he entitled it Heretic of the Week or something like that. And then he goes on to talk about how Neville Goddard was divorced, which is a big no-no in the Catholic tradition. And, these beliefs are heretical, right? Fear-based beliefs. Well, of course they're heretical to someone who's stuck in that strict, literalistic, whatever, doctrine-based belief system. So, first of all, Neville Goddard wasn't a Catholic. He was a Protestant. So in his personal religious tradition that he was brought up with, it's okay to get divorced. But honestly, when you're in this uh, when you grow beyond the traditional religious doctrines, you create your life. And if it takes a divorce to get out of a so-called bad relationship or to change, evolve into a better frame of living, a better relationship, something that works better for you, then by any means necessary, as long as it's, legal and you're not causing harm to others. And in the case of Neville Goddard, his wife was estranged to him and she refused to give him a divorce. And in those days, it wasn't so easy because of all these fear-based beliefs that were integrated with society. He couldn't get a divorce. And he explains how that came about, how he envisioned being with the woman who he met, who he really loved, and the miraculous, how all of a sudden his estranged wife got herself into a predicament where she needed his help and a legal thing, and he showed up, and she was so impressed by that she granted him the divorce, which was all a product of manifestation. He manifested the whole thing. So I didn't want to leave that out, and we'll just continue with the rest of this. So all of this stuff is just fascinating when you think about it, and we create these things. I'm still learning and delving into why do we create them? Why do we want to limit our power and knowledge of who we are so much to play this human game, this game of life? Why don't we just come out? In other words, if the stuff is written in the Bible and all the symbolic stuff, why don't we just know it from the beginning and live the best possible life, co-creating with our God self? There's a lot there, but a lot of this limiting stuff you have to understand. So I'm a student as well. I'm not trying to put myself up here as this big teacher, all right, this big authority. Just because of our YouTube channel doesn't make me some super authority. You can disagree. You know what I mean? This is just my perspective I'm putting out there based on the stuff I've come into contact with, the material, and also my decades of life experience, and also how I have proven to myself that we really do manifest our lives. That every single little thing in our life, in our 3D reality, is a product of our imagination, just as Neville said. But there's still little bits of it that don't make complete sense when you really get down and dirty and start really thinking about this stuff. So anyway, to run full circle and kind of like track back to the whole fear-based beliefs, which is the subject of this monologue. Don't give in to your fear-based beliefs. Don't give in to fear-based beliefs that you create others to reflect back at you. Okay? Because they're just limiting beliefs. They're not real. They're not real. I mean, it's just like the ghost hunters, right? They go out there looking for ghosts. They expect to find ghosts. And sure enough, they find ghosts. Or they find demons. Or they create people to act possessed. And the person who's being possessed thinks they're being possessed. And the psychic who they create to reflect this stuff back, or the medium to say, yes, I've seen this, I've spoken to this entity. You're creating the whole thing, the whole ball of wax, right? From soup to nuts, you're manifesting it all. This can explain everything. It can literally explain everything. Aliens, Bigfoot, UFOs, I don't care what. Your God self is literally manifesting everything and beaming it back to you. So, be careful what you manifest. Really think about what you want to experience. Hey, if some of that stuff is fun and it really turns you on and your game, just keep in mind where it's really coming from, so you don't fall back under the spell. So you don't technically, as Neville said, go back to sleep, right? You're waking up from this dream and learning that you are I am. You are one with God, right? God is in every single one of us, and we in Him. So don't ever forget that. Don't allow fear-based beliefs to dictate how you act in this life. And don't worry about offending those who you reflect back. You can change how they are. And I'm specifically talking to people who come from the more strict traditions where maybe you're shunned if you leave. That's a big fear, right? Being shunned by family and friends because you leave. Anything is possible for God. Anything is possible for you. You can pull all your family and friends out of that to come with you. You're creating them all, right? You're creating them all. So why not? Nothing is impossible for God. Remember that. You are the operant power. Fear-based beliefs are just beliefs. You can reject them. And I suggest you do in order to keep on that path towards true enlightenment. So anyway, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. I really want to get my subscriptions going here. And it's hard enough on YouTube to be seen in all the mess to even get enough views to get that going. So we'll see how long it takes. Thank you. I appreciate you.